Welcome to the Whytebooyee podcast, brought to you by WB Apparel and Printing out of Bayonne, New Jersey. Just a quick disclaimer, the views and opinions from anyone on this podcast are just for the show and not to be taken seriously at all. Now on to the show. Guys, what's up? Thank you for listening to the first episode of the Whytebooyee podcast. This is Rob, Whytebooyee, and I'm hoping everybody's doing pretty well out there. 2021 was pretty tough. COVID times, people losing their jobs, people not going to work, being able to go to work, people not being able to make money. A lot of stress on anxiety, depression. Hit me too for a while. Still going through a little bit of it, staying at home, not being, told not to do things, can't hang out, can't do this, wear a mask, wear a diaper on your face, wear a cover around your body, wear a balloon on you, all this crazy stuff, government doesn't care, it's changing every day. All right, but back to the podcast regardless. I wanted to make this podcast, I was getting a lot of emails and text messages and stuff for the past couple months because I stopped working for about 2 months of doing screen printing and custom apparel. I just basically stuck with, my brand, fooling around with it, learning some new techniques and stuff on Photoshop, Illustrator, Corel, trying to get my stuff together and, working with... my wife and her friends have a cheerleading team, and I was doing a lot of their clothes, mainly just staying local. There was just too much stuff going on. We were having so many issues with deliveries. The weather's been bad. Now we're being hit with storm after storm. Tuesday we get hit with Superstorm Sally. Friday we get hit with Superstorm George. Not being able to ship things and things like that. In October, November were pretty rough for me. I had a lot of deliveries and things like that, but with everything else that was going on, actually it was more into November, December. Yeah, because I got backlogged, and we had the holidays and everything else, and shipments were you would order clothes and you would tell your customer, be like, all right, you know what? With everything here, we should be done. I'm going to make the screens, do everything I have to do. I should be ready by Friday. What's your deadline? Oh, it's Monday. All right, cool. Then you get a revised, delivery date, and it tells you that, your clothes ain't coming until next week because who knows, it's lost or it's sent somewhere else, and, this and that, So for a while, I shut down for a little bit, and I'm going to continue probably shut down until this weather is cleared, so that I don't have any problems with shipping, because even the warehouses where you buy clothes from, they're saying please do not go by delivery dates. There's a lot of issues, this and that. So I'd rather not have any customers right now. I mean there was a lot of people that still do come to me, but I'd rather not look for a business and then have a bad business experience because of something that I didn't cause, or if you want to call it an act of God, I guess, whatever, is what it is. But a lot of people are asking me to to speak what I know, because they were I get people all the time, oh, can you teach me the art of the screen printing? Can you teach me how to do sublimation? Can you teach me how to do this? Can you teach me how to do that? How do you make screens? How do you do this? How do you do that? Listen, this whole journey that I traveled here, starting in 2016, I did this myself. A lot of trial and error. More error than trial, if you want to call it that. Spent more money on stuff that I screwed up compared to, I still do it sometimes. But, spend more money on stuff that I screwed up than stuff that was through. But, that was just the beginning. I would say a year later from there, and been doing a pretty good, this little hobby became pretty good, before COVID, of course, before COVID, but it was pretty good. It's pretty good. So I feel like this is my way of trying to motivate, somebody else to get themselves up to do something for themselves. I feel, this is how I feel. listen, I'm getting older, 46 years old now, and I always wanted something that I could leave for my kids, the day when I depart this earth as a spirit, if you want to call that. I always wanted something that I could just pass off to my kids and be like, yo, this thing has been running. This thing is good. Just, man it. Just man it. Take the wheel, man it. You've seen me do this 100 times. You've helped me, this and that, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Take it from me and just run with it, man. Let the legs, let it take off. And I'm blessed too, in a way, because I work a full-time job during, and I've been at my last full-time job for about 18 years, until the company was sold to another company, and things went upside down. Companies don't want to pay you what you're being paid because they feel that they can get somebody cheaper to do what you've been doing for over 18 years of experience of doing it, stuff like that. And I always felt that to have like a financial security or like a freedom, is like one of the best things to have, and it's cool. Like, if you could get up and go to a 9 to 5 or, a 7:30 to 4 or whatever it is, it's cool that, you could do stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, you want some financial freedom for yourself and, something that you could have and be proud of, so I'm hoping that, hearing a little bit of what I went through and what I did, and maybe it'll help, you or whatever to get up and do whatever you have to do. Because you know what? To tell you the truth, you can do whatever you want to do. You believe in the Matrix, you believe in any of this craziness, and how they say that the world is, not what it's supposed to be, so many different dimensions, so many different things. Yes, I listen to all those things myself. I find it interesting, not saying that I believe everything, but I find it interesting because, you could always sit there and go, yeah, you know what? He's right. Yeah, this doesn't make sense, But, I think personally you can do whatever you want to do. I mean, I was at first, before I jumped the gun and I started doing, I started this journey, I was very scared too because, it's not like I have lots of funds. And back then when I started this, I really had no funds. And, I was working, like I said, almost 18 years at the job that I was working at, and I was making good money, but the problem is that I had a house and I have kids, I have 5 kids, and it's just, that money disappears, it's like you get paid at the end of the week and you're like, all right. And then you're left with like a $50 allowance, like, yo, here you go. And then you're like, yo, really? What happened? Stuff like that is, it's hard, it's hard. And, everybody, goes to a hustle game, to a side game, and I've done it for plenty of times too. Like I've worked 2 to 3 jobs sometimes consecutively with my main job. Like, well, I don't mean working 3 plus 1. I mean like 3 jobs sometimes, 2 jobs during the week and 1 job on the weekend. Just so I could have extra cash. And it was good because you felt good, but it wasn't the same feeling though. Like, it was you more than likely paying more out in taxes and busting your butt even more, making your body hurt, all this other stuff. And, it really wasn't worth it, Well, it was worth it. It was worth it because it got me to where I am here. I won't say it wasn't worth it. But, in the long run for longevity, it's crazy. Like if you go on the internet, you see all these guys and, YouTube, right? T-shirt millionaires and all this other stuff. I'm not going to quote people's businesses or anything like that. But, all these guys are like, oh, I made $25,000 selling T-shirts, on Amazon, on this, on that, on this. Let me tell you something. I went through all of that. I went step by step on all those businesses, and currently I do sell a lot of my designs and stuff that I no longer print inside my, my house or this and that. And I'll go into that too. I was very close. This is very close of having my own shop before COVID. And then COVID came and swept everybody's dreams away, took everybody's money and business, but all that stuff, like the businesses, and they're saying like, oh, we've made millions of dollars and we've done this and we've done that, and some of it's true. Some of it's true. Like, I've actually spoke to a few people who are actually making good money, that are hustling t-shirts, that are hustling designs. And sometimes, like, you would sit there and you would think to yourself, you'd be like, you know what, if I make this great, and I'm guilty of this myself too, and it'd be like, I make this great graphic and this great thing, and then I could sell it to this niche, and I could be like, oh, this looks beautiful. All right, well, I'm not into graphics that good. I mean, I do pretty good with graphics, like, when people give me the artwork and stuff, I can, put things into vector. I can trace out lines. I can trace out designs. And, I'll sit down and I'll recreate things. And then, mostly that is what I get. I'm like very happy when somebody comes to me and they already have their stuff on vector. And, or, a PNG high, with high DPI, good resolution and stuff like that. Because that's something that you could work with, But, most of the time that, I'm doing, people's graphics, fixing it, editing it, putting things into it, changing it. And for a long time, I did it for free. Not anymore. And I'll get to that too. But, you sit there and, you see all this and you're like, I'm putting this great t-shirt together, and you put it out there on, like, depending on what you're using and stuff, or what you're trying to sell on. Shopify, I used to use Shopify. And I would use direct-to-garment, manufacturers to sell and, ship all my stuff. And, I would get all these graphics made up, and I would use, graphic artists. I would use people off of Fiverr. If, maybe I said it wrong, whatever, Fiverr, whatever. But I have a group of guys, a little group of people on Fiverr that I use constantly when I want to do something. Put something together, if I can't do it myself, I would put it, I would give it to them and be like, listen, can you help me out with this? And this is my idea of what I want. Who can do it better? And then, like, I'll push it out to 4 guys or 4 people that will compete for the work. And, then you take whatever is the best for you. It's going to cost you. Like everything else, it's going to cost you. But there's been plenty of times that I've done that. And I would put a t-shirt out there and like that, something like that. If I didn't do it in-house, meaning like if I didn't screen print it myself, if I liked it so much, I would have done it myself, made the screens, layered them and stuff like that. But most of the time I would, try it out first, see what people feel about it before I started wasting screens and emulsion and stuff like that. And my time, transparencies and ink and everything else just to make these designs, and nobody likes it. Or they're like, well, whatever. And stuff like that. And believe it or not, that super cool design that you just paid so much money for, that's beautiful, doesn't sell. But you know what does sell? The dude who has the t-shirt that made the design that says, got wood. It's some crazy shit. Like, you're sitting there and you're like, got wood. Man, you just did that right now. Like the easiest way of doing it, adding letters on the shirt, and that's it. And you got 50-something sales already. You're like, wow, what is the how do you do it? How do you do it? And this just kind of leads on into me. Now, I've never had really any experience of doing any of this stuff, and where it came from, the whole idea of me doing this, was kind of weird. Well, yeah, I guess so. Across the back of my between my shoulders is a huge tattoo, and it says Whytebooyee. Now, it's not spelled Whyteboy like you would normally spell it. It's Whytebooyee. Now, I've grew up with that name. I was in a music group back in the day, 1989 to about 1994, 93, whatever. And, I was called Rob G, man, Whytebooyee. So it was just something that I carried with me for a long time. I got tattoos from that era, or, on my body, regardless, whatever. So it just happened to be one day, me and my family and friends and stuff were out at the beach, and we were playing football with the kids, and there was a bunch of people. We were all playing football on the sand and stuff. And one of the lifeguards came down. She was a girl. She came up to me, and she was like, yo. She's like, who are you? And I was like, what do you mean, who am I? And she was like, who are you? And I was like, I'm Rob, why? And she was like, no. Are you, like, who are you? I mean, I see this tattoo on your back. This is really dope. She was like, it's like old Gothic kind of lettering and stuff. Like, she was like, you're probably like my age, right? You're probably like, in your 40s or late 30s. I was like, yeah, exactly. She's like, yeah, we grew up together. That's kind of like the same kind of thing. Like, that was from back in the day. She was like, so who are you? Like, I was like, nobody. I said, I'm just Rob, Whytebooyee. I was like, that's it. I just a name that I grew up with, a name that I carried along with me, back in the days of music and stuff like that. And I've been around a lot of places, man. A lot of studios, a lot of stuff. Like, I know my ins and outs, man. So I was just like, I'm nobody really. So she was like, that saying and stuff, Whytebooyee, that's like really cool. She was like, it's not the way of being like racist to spell it like white boy, like how people would feel that way, but it's different. It's different spelling. It's different. It's cool. It looks cool. She's like, yo, that's not, you don't have like a shirt thing or a clothing thing and stuff like that. And I was like, bing. I was like, no, I don't. I was like, I've been approached before about something like, doing something like that. And she was like, well, you should probably look into it. She's like, because that would be like really cool. And then she was like, cool. She was like, I gotta go. She was like, I just wanted to come down because we were up there, watching, and I saw the thing. And then, we were like, yo, who is he? Is he like a celebrity or somebody? And we were trying to figure it out. And I was like, yo, that looks like, somebody from back in, grew up between, 74, 76, Generation X, if you want to call us. Is that it? I don't know, whatever. But so, needless to say, the day was over, this and that. I think we were down like 7 presidents or something in Jersey. Jersey Shore, baby. So a week or so went on and this and that, and I'm a utility worker, and we had a job. We were going to an outage in Newark. No power, no cable, no nothing, no anything. So we got out to the job, and it was late at night, and we were in this pretty bad neighborhood. Everybody was out because there was no power, this and that. And I got to the job, and my friend, I already spoken to. I'm not gonna say people's names because I don't know if people want to be known or this and that. And I'm not gonna say names of companies either and stuff like that. But one of the guys I was working with, I got there and I was changing into a fluorescent shirt so that, you could see me, because there was no power, there's no nothing, and nobody, besides the flashing lights from our trucks. And, the guy was like, that I was working with was like, yo, you're going to take that shirt off in this neighborhood? I was like, what do you mean? He goes, Rob, you says Whytebooyee across your back, bro. And I was like, dude, I got to change, whatever. So I took my shirt off, and all you heard was, what the F? And my boy was sitting there. He was like, yo, he says, now you're getting us killed out here tonight. You're getting us killed out here. Not only do we have to deal with this outage, you're going to get us killed. So I got approached by a bunch of people. They came up to us while we were working. And he was like, yo, what does that say on your back, bro? And I was like, he says, Whytebooyee. He goes, who's Whytebooyee? He goes, for some reason, that's like, we were just talking about that. And I was like, who's these ignorant white people coming into this neighborhood wearing and having a tattoo like that? And then I thought to myself, yo, that's pretty cool, bro. I like how that's spelt. They were like, he was like, let me come over and he was like, let me go over there and talk to him, this and that. So, we were talking, and, I said, it's just something that's been on my back. I said, it's what I used to be called. I was like, it was, same story. I've been in a rap group and, music group and all this other stuff back in the day. You do things when you're younger, and, the first thing he said to me was, yo, do you sell like clothes and stuff? Because that's really cool, bro. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, bro. He was like, I'm telling you. He said, if you put that on a shirt, he says, yo, people will buy that, man. He goes, that's dope. He goes, I'm telling you right now, that's dope. And I was like, wow. I was like, that's now the 3rd time that I've heard somebody say something like that. And then the guy I was working with was like, yo, you got to roll with that, bro. You have to roll with that. He He was like, yo, you were just telling me that about that girl at the lifeguard. And I was like, yeah. He was like, bro, he's like, you got to roll with that. You have to go with that now. He's like, there's no way that you can't. You have to go with that. So I was like, you know what? Yeah. Okay, this is where it's going to start. You know what I mean? So it went on for a little while. Like I was, watching YouTubes and stuff like that. I was, mainly listening to like Ryonet, and I was looking, Cat Spit Productions, stuff like that. Like those were the first like real groups that I actually saw on YouTube, and they were, discussing screen printing and designing clothes and everything like that, where even for me at the time, I was very overwhelmed because there was just so much stuff involved. Not only was there so much stuff involved, there was so much money that had to be put out, or so much money that had to be, just to buy the merchandise, to start this stuff and things like that. So I decided, like everybody else, listen, another thing too, I'm going to try to keep these podcasts to like 30 minutes, 35 minutes. All right, because I know, like, I listen to podcasts all day, and sometimes, some of these podcasts are like 2-3 hours long. I mean, I've had a couple podcasts that we used to run, like Three Drunken Idiots, The White Room, stuff like that, where, our podcast will go 3-4 hours. We had people talking and stuff. It was entertaining, but I feel, sometimes that could be a little drawn out. I feel like an hour should be the most. So I'm going to do these clips in like 30, 35 minute, 40 minute clips. And, I'm going to just try to explain to you my journey and everything. From that's over with, I'm going to explain everything that I use and everybody who I've all the people that I've known, and not only known, like all the people that I work with, and all the people, like their products and how their products are good, or if it's not, what should you do? Here's a shortcut, blah, blah, blah. So I'm using more of the information, for other people who are into the screen printing business. All right. Now, here's another problem with me. I wander off mad quick. I have ADHD. I got to be doing like 2 to 3 things at the same time. You know what I mean? So just bear with me. I know it's hard. Bear with me. Now, going back to it. So, I've been watching the videos, and I was going back and forth for a while. And I was, wondering how I could do this. Like, how could I make a business out of screen printing? How could I sell clothes? Because I can talk to people. Like, I do have a good social skill, so I can sell stuff if I had to be like a marketer or a salesman at the same time. But involving myself into this business, I had to be everybody. I had to be the boss, salesman, production, everything, because I'm taking this on myself. I'm not dragging nobody else into it, not asking for anybody to be a partner. I'm doing it myself. And people are like, getting the pros and cons. People are like, oh, you're crazy. I have, some good friends and stuff like that. And they're like, yo, do it. Come on, do it. Let's push it. Do it. And I don't know if I should get into that now. I mean, because the podcast is already almost at 30 minutes. Well, yeah. All right. Well, let's get a little bit into it. All right. So, one day, and it's kind of weird. It's really weird. So I was sleeping, and you have a dream and stuff like that, and it sounds kind of whatever you want to call it, but I actually was sleeping, and I had a dream that I was selling Whytebooyee clothes. And I don't know how it happened or whatever it was, this and that, but it was I don't remember so much of the dream, but I do remember enough that when I woke up, I was like, I told my wife, I said, yo, now I just had a dream about selling clothes and making clothes. I was like, you know what? I'm going into the apparel business. So my wife was just like, oh, you're crazy. You're like, what's involved with doing this, going into this business. And I was like, well, you know what? Luckily, I worked a lot of overtime this week. All our bills are paid. You have extra money. I have like close to $300 left. I was like, I'm taking the $300 and I'm going to look up screen printing companies. Like warehouses, distributors, people who carry the equipment. Because I always had this in mind that I just wanted to be, there I was researching embroidery, I was researching screen printing, heat transfers, vinyl cutting, and all this other stuff. And I was like, you know what? From a lot of these people, like watching them, Ryan Egg, Catspit Productions, that guy Reyes, that guy Reyes. I've seen a bunch of his videos, and I mean, he's legit. These guys are legit. These guys are out there and they're trying to do business. They're trying to make things. And I was like, I can too. I can do this. I'm gonna do this. So I took the $300 and I looked for a distributor, a warehouse, somebody close to me that I didn't have to go to Brooklyn or somewhere in New York City, because there was a place in Staten Island. There's tons of them. There's a couple of them in Brooklyn. There's a couple of them in the Bronx. And stuff like that. And I was like, I want to find something in New Jersey. There was a couple in New Jersey, but there was one close to me in Hackensack, and it was called Total Link Solutions. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go up there to him. I'm going to explain what I want to do and how I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? And, by watching all these videos and stuff, I kind of got an idea of what I need to do and what I need, to make what I want to do come true, kind of deal. So I took the money that one time, and me and my wife went up to Total Lincoln Solutions, and we met this guy, who owns a business. Name is Lou. And, let me tell you, son, if it wasn't for Lou's guidance in doing this, I probably wouldn't be doing it. I do give a lot to Lou and mad respect to him for, helping me out along the way of doing this, because the day I walked through his door, he probably thought I was crazy. But I did tell him, I'm looking to get into the business. He was very helpful. This place is, compared to what it was when I first started to what it is now, the place is like completely different. He's got so many different vinyls, his own productions, his own things, screen printing himself, things like that. And, when I went in there, it looked like, not what it is today, but, still best quality and things like that. Now, I'm not sponsored by nobody. I'm not sponsored by anybody on this podcast that I'm speaking about. I'm just saying who I've used and the experiences that I've used with them. So I went into Lou's, and I Total Link Solutions in Hackensack, and I told them this is what I wanted to do. His worker there, Joffrey, was questioning me. He was like, well, how are you going to do this? How are you going to, all right, I got the idea, but how are you going to do this? I was like, listen, I got $300. What can I get for $300 to get me started? Well, what got me started was 2 screens, 20 by 24 aluminums, 110 meshes, I got a regular emulsion. I forgot what kind I got back then. I think it was just a polymer emulsion. I bought black ink, and I think that was it. I know I went like 2 weeks later and I got white and red ink from him, but that was it, because then everything else I had to buy on my own. Meaning to prep, because I didn't have the money to buy, a light table, for my registry on my screens. I didn't have a heat press. I didn't have a flash unit. I didn't have a conveyor dryer. I didn't have anything. So, it was basically me trying to figure out what I was going to do that I could make this happen, make this work, So I ended up doing that. I bought all that stuff from him, went home, and did a little research on how to make, transparencies and stuff like that. And to be real, my first transparencies, because I didn't have any money, my first transparencies were paper. What I did was I printed out black paper, printed out on a printer, and I printed the paper. And to make it a transparency, what I found was what I found worked for me was to take the transparency, the paper, and put oil on it. I mean, I know this sounds a little weird, but if you take a piece of paper and you put oil on it, what's going to happen is that it'll seep through, and you'll be able to see through the other side. So when you're burning your screens, it will show up like while you're doing it. Well, let me cut this off now because we're already hitting the 30-minute mark, and I'll start off tomorrow or another time for episode 2, and we'll start off at the point of starting to burn screens, or from buying all the stuff from Total Link, using stuff within my house, and I'll explain to you what I used in my house to actually make my first screens, which is going to be pretty lengthy because there was a lot to do, a lot involved in that. All right, so take it easy. You guys have a good day. Keep at it.